Picture this: a deer wandering aimlessly through the woods, its eyes glazed over, stumbling around, its behavior eerily unnatural. This isn't a scene from a horror movie. It's the reality of a disease that has been slowly spreading across the US. It's called chronic wasting disease, CWD, but it's gained a sinister nickname, the zombie deer disease. What makes CWD so terrifying isn't just its spread, but the way it manipulates the minds and bodies of the animals it infects. Follow us for more amazing stories. So what is this disease, and why is it making headlines? Let's break it down. CWD is a prion disease, which means it's caused by a misfolded protein that attacks the brain of infected animals. Unlike bacteria or viruses, prions don't follow the usual rules of life. They don't reproduce, they infect by altering other proteins. This process leads to the gradual degeneration of the animal's nervous system, causing drastic behavior changes. As the disease progresses, infected deer start losing coordination, drool excessively, and show no fear of humans. The most striking symptom? They begin to act like zombies, hence the nickname. But how does this mysterious disease spread so rapidly across the US? The answer lies in the way prions spread in the environment. When an infected animal dies, prions can linger in the soil, plants and water, infecting other animals. And these prions can remain infectious for years, making it extremely difficult to contain the disease. Initially discovered in Colorado in the 1960s, CWD has now been confirmed in at least 30 US states. It's not just affecting deer either. Elk, moose and other members of the cervid family can also be infected. The disease has been slowly infiltrating regions that were once unaffected, and experts are growing increasingly concerned. Why? Because CWD has a disturbing potential. It could spread to other animals, even to humans. While there's no direct evidence that CWD has jumped to humans yet, studies are ongoing. And given how devastating prion diseases have been in the past, think mad cow disease, this is no small concern. But the real mystery, the disease's origins and why it behaves the way it does. Scientists believe CWD likely originated from a mutation of an existing prion disease in wild deer, but its rapid spread has baffled researchers. Some speculate that human activities like moving infected animals for hunting purposes may have helped CWD spread. Others suggest that the disease is simply following its own path, unstoppable and unpredictable. Regardless of how it started, CWD's impact on the wildlife population is undeniable. Infected deer lose their ability to forage, which weakens the herd and threatens the health of entire ecosystems. This could have ripple effects throughout the food chain, affecting predators and other species that rely on cervids for food. And there's no simple solution. Researchers have tried various methods to curb its spread, including hunting and euthanizing infected animals. Some states are even considering testing wild deer populations for the disease. But as we've seen, these efforts haven't been enough to stop the disease from spreading. In fact, it continues to spread with alarming speed, threatening to reach new areas in the coming years. So what can we do about it? One possibility is a vaccine, but there are currently no approved vaccines for CWD. Scientists are exploring different options, but a cure remains elusive. Researchers are also studying the way prions interact with animal brains, hoping to find a way to prevent or slow the disease. However, progress is slow and the future of CWD remains uncertain. One of the most pressing concerns is the effect of CWD on wildlife populations. Some states have seen a decline in their deer populations as the disease spreads, which has led to concerns about the long-term health of herds. In fact, some experts believe that entire populations could be wiped out if the disease continues unchecked. But the danger isn't limited to wildlife. CWD poses a potential risk to hunting, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry in the US. As deer become more scarce and hunters become more cautious about the disease, the economic impact could be devastating. There's also the issue of human safety. Although the risk to humans remains unproven, the possibility that CWD could evolve into a human threat is a source of growing concern. But let's not panic just yet. While it's understandable to be worried about the disease, experts are quick to point out that the risk to humans is still considered low. However, that doesn't mean we should ignore the issue. The spread of CWD has already caused significant damage to deer populations, and it could only get worse in the coming years. It's crucial that we take steps now to slow the spread of the disease before it becomes a larger problem. But even as scientists work around the clock to find a solution, there are still many unknowns about CWD. For example, we don't know why some deer are more susceptible to the disease than others. Some studies suggest that genetics could play a role, with certain deer being more likely to contract CWD than others. This could lead to the evolution of more resistant populations, but it's impossible to say for sure. Another major unknown is the potential for CWD to spread to other species. As we mentioned earlier, some researchers worry that it could eventually jump to humans, though the risk is still low. Even if the disease remains confined to cervids, it still poses a massive threat to wildlife populations. The decline of deer populations could lead to a shift in the balance of nature, with predators losing a crucial food source. These ripple effects could destabilize entire ecosystems, leading to a shift in how species interact with each other. The impact of CWD could be felt for generations to come, and we might not even fully understand the consequences for many years. And yet, there's a glimmer of hope. Thanks to advancements in wildlife management, researchers have been able to contain outbreaks in some areas. In places like Wisconsin, where CWD has been present for years, aggressive measures have been taken to curb its spread. Hunters are asked to submit deer for testing, and certain areas have even been quarantined to prevent the disease from spreading further. In addition, scientists are developing better tools for detecting the disease in the early stages. Early detection is key, as it gives wildlife managers a chance to take action before the disease spreads too far. One promising development is the use of more sensitive testing methods that can detect prions in live animals, not just dead ones. This could revolutionize how we manage the disease and prevent its spread in the future. But the fight is far from over. Despite these advancements, CWD remains a serious and growing threat to wildlife across the US. To truly stop it, we'll need cooperation from hunters, wildlife agencies, and the general public. Public education will play a crucial role in preventing the spread of CWD. If hunters understand the risks and follow proper protocols, they can help reduce the chances of spreading the disease to other areas. Infected animals must be disposed of carefully, and hunters must avoid consuming potentially infected meat. These simple steps could make a big difference in preventing the further spread of CWD. But there's still a lot we don't know about the disease. For example, we don't know why some deer are more susceptible to the disease than others. Some studies suggest that genetics could play a role, with certain deer being more likely to contract CWD than others. This could lead to the evolution of more resistant populations, but it's impossible to say for sure. Another major unknown is the potential for CWD to spread to other species. As we mentioned earlier, some researchers worry that it could eventually jump to humans, though the risk is still low. Even if the disease remains confined to cervids, it still poses a massive threat to wildlife populations. The decline of deer populations could lead to a shift in the balance of nature, with predators losing a crucial food source. And as ecosystems become more unstable, other species might suffer as well. It's a situation that demands our attention, and quickly. In the meantime, wildlife managers are closely monitoring the spread of the disease. They're working with hunters, conservationists, and researchers to slow its progress. But it's clear that more action is needed to prevent CWD from becoming an even bigger problem. If we don't act now, the consequences could be severe. So, what can you do to help? If you're a hunter, always follow state guidelines for testing and disposal. Educate yourself about CWD and how it spreads, and encourage others to do the same. Even if you don't hunt, you can help by supporting conservation efforts that focus on protecting wildlife and habitats. And if you're concerned about the impact of CWD on your local deer population, consider contacting local wildlife agencies to voice your concerns. Together we can work to protect our wildlife and prevent the spread of this mysterious disease. But time is of the essence. The spread of CWD isn't slowing down, it's picking up speed. If we don't act now, the zombie deer disease could soon be a household name. So what will it take to stop this growing epidemic? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, we must remain vigilant. The mystery of CWD may not have an easy answer, but it's a battle we can't afford to lose. If we're to protect wildlife and the ecosystems they support, we must face this challenge head-on. The clock is ticking,